Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Daily What Ifs live broadcast. Tonight we're going to be talking about the machines that are communicating with the mind. Or is it the human communicating with the machines? Find out here on the Daily What Ifs. Be right back. Well, here we are once again here on the Visual Disturbance channel on the Daily What Ifs live broadcast. Tonight's going to be a doozy. I'm looking forward to this one, and I'm glad to see you guys in the chat this evening here on the Visual Disturbance. I'm a little low-key tonight. I'm not on rant mode today. I'm a little calm, a little peaceful. Got a cup of coffee, got a kombucha. I got a cup of water with me because we're going to be jumping in this Daily What Ifs. Before we do that, before we jump down the rabbit hole of the AI mechanisms, we're going to be talking about this broadcast right here tomorrow night on the Visual Disturbance channel, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, breaking the code of UFO disclosure. Yes, that's right. I had to sit down with a young man that written the Liberty Code, Tyler Gilriff. And we're going to be presenting that tomorrow here on the Visual Disturbance channel. Subscribe, share it out, all that good stuff. You'll be glad you did, because the young man has a ton of information in his Liberty Code book that he's an author of. So tune into that for tomorrow night on Special Guest Tuesday. And also a few other announcements before we get into tonight. John Pounder's Quest podcast. New channel, new chapter, a new endeavor. Help my friend out. Give him a like, share it, subscribe. A new endeavor, a new journey, bunch of interviews coming up in the future with John. So check out John Pounder's Quest podcast. The link is in the chat. So it's going to be a doozy. That's big news. Big news. And speaking of news, yesterday on Sunday night, if you didn't see it, I gotta address something real quick before we get into the Daily What Ifs. I went on the UFO Insanity Sunday night rant. Yes, it was a rant, okay? And today I woke up and I had a lovely comment where a person commented and asked if I was going crazy. Well, it was a rant, folks. It was a rant. The strange thing was last night I was listening to a highly credible individual that says Mr. Loeb is now claiming that there is 10 million humans on the 3I Atlas. The 3 times the size of Manhattan spaceship supposedly coming in October and in November and going to take out humanity. Their claim is now there's 10 million humans on board. And when I go on a rant for an insanity broadcast, live, sporadic, and going on a topic like that and get so adamant because I really do want to know what is going on with our reality, okay? And people question my mental state, and I thought that was strange. I thought it was really strange because I was like, wow. But anyways, speaking of mental state, okay? Speaking of mental state, folks, let's get into the Daily What Ifs program here. So, talking to machines with the mind, we got to watch out. Maybe that's what they're doing there with the 10 million humans that are on the 3I Atlas. You can't make this stuff up, folks. You just can't. Have you ever caught yourself, staring at a phone? Anybody? Anybody out there? And just death scrolling, like literally death scrolling, and just being lethargic. Like every input, output that you're doing, you're sitting there looking at frames per second, and your body is just turn into a veggie state because you're going down the rabbit hole in the wrong way, right? Scrolling and getting cognitively dissonance. Did I say that correctly? And frying your mental state up and your neural pathways and all that above, okay? So have you ever thought about it? When you're doing that and getting to that state of mind, have you ever thought about, wow, just maybe this device is collecting your thoughts and your eye movement. Heck, maybe even more than that, your quantum field, your biometrics. Well, guess what, folks? Welcome to your daily What Ifs cup of coffee with a smile here on Visual Disturbance channel, because it's a reality. Well, what if it's a reality? And guess what? Welcome to 2025, when it's here and we can't make it up anymore. So here we go. America's quantum brain scanner shows thoughts as they happen, a leap toward mind-to-machine communication. Well, according to the count on this topic, we're going to take our time with this, okay? They're talking about biometrics, quantum entanglement, quantum field, what have you. And I thought it was astonishing to me that years ago, seriously, not too long ago, that I have a younger cousin. He's in his 20s now, married and all that good stuff, but when he went to high school, in my neck of the woods, you know, the computer lab that I went to high school in, we were playing with floppy disk and we barely had a power cord to plug up our computer. Okay? Well, they advanced themselves in their local community and they had iMacs. And I said, man, iMac. You got you an iMac in 10th grade level? Well, my cousin was going on and saying, well, that's not just that. We have quantum physics, quantum entanglement that we're teaching now. Well, introducing the AI mechanism, but this was like 8 years ago, okay? Maybe a little bit longer than that. And we're teaching quantum field, quantum entanglement, quantum physics, all that good stuff. How to chase a rabbit down the rabbit hole, put the bait in it, and quantify it in some shape or form with binary code. And here we are in 2025. Now America's got some kind of quantum brain scanner, shows thoughts and all that good stuff. But before we get into the article that is talking about this particular scanner, has anybody ever thought about it? Seriously. We went from warehouse-sized computers, okay? I'm talking about before Apple, before IBM, all this stuff, you know. We had these large warehouse computers that looked like something from, you know, it'd take up 100,000 square foot, you know, according to the imagery of all the old pictures. But one would have to wonder, what was that even going on? And then you go back to look, you know, like I mentioned earlier, floppy disk. You look at technological advancements when you go into the stores. You look at security cameras. I said security cameras, and you look and you think about it in a way, what has been going on and being monitored for all these years? And speaking of the congressional hearing tomorrow with the UFO phenomenon, maybe they'll bring back that immaculate constellation program again and really divulge into that and dive and take a deep dive to explain to the public how could they monitor 10 generations back. You didn't hear that here on Visual Disturbance, but hey, there's 10 million folks on the 3 Atlas. I don't want to get off track. But what if all these mechanisms was collecting characteristic attributes and what have you, and if you throw some video games in the mix, okay? You know, like, I don't want to even mention the companies, but you have all these different companies that was rising up, 70s, 80s, collecting data. Maybe there's nothing to it. Maybe it's just all play. Maybe there's just nothing to it. Maybe there really is nothing to it. But I can assure you one thing, neural pathways and how that's designing your DNA and your temple, I can say there's something being collected. So we're in a spiritual battle, folks. Spiritual battle, and humanity's on the chopping block. So if you calculate everything, I'm being silly tonight. If you calculate everything and you collaborate it into one big bowl of instantaneous oatmeal, we have a issue. And if you look at the data collecting throughout time, going to the warehouses that are going to these large mechanisms, right? These large computers. And then all of a sudden, $6,666 in a garage, we have, voila, the Apple box, okay? And then it goes on and all these different other companies go on about it. Then you go from a small chip to microscopic, all that. And then today, here we are in 2025. Well, it's interesting to me with nanotech and the things that go bump in the night. And then you ask yourself, is this new? Is this new technology? Is it? Because I have to disagree. I think this stuff has been way, way, way back to antiquity, pre-Adamic world, what have you. Because I remember specifically about 10, 15 years ago when I was on the milk route. And I was sitting there thinking about something and really reading and diving into some stuff with rocks. And I found chips, and that looked like chips. And then some people in the so-called academic world was saying that is seashells from the waters above, or they was making all kinds of rhetoric, okay? And they look like microchips. So when you go to these ancient sites and megalithic structures, what is going on, really, on a nanoscale? We can't see it with our peripheral. We can't see it without a microscope. So what if this has been going on a lot longer than we can even process in our minds? Our little hemisphere, our left and right hemispheres, our little, what they claim, our brains are so minute. But I have to assure you all out there in the visual disturbance community, out there in the airwaves of the internet world, there's more to us than what they say we are, okay? And we're going to get into that. So, what if all this stuff has been collecting data forever and ever and ever and ever, and then we're just now kind of catching up, right? And they're giving it out into the public. So, could you imagine, real quick before I get into this article, could you imagine, Brian, we are going to give you a quantum brain scanner to be effective for your brain and make your vision better. You can see through the walls, Brian, quantified. I won't be taking the test run, okay? The test run won't be happening, okay? Don't be putting no quantum brain scanner on me. So according to the account here, folks, let's just get into it. That's enough ranting. I'm not losing my mind, okay? Just want to validate that again. So the portable brain scanner decodes thoughts in real time. Imagine that. American neuroscientists have developed a lightweight helmet-like brain scanner that can map through your thoughts as they happened, powered by quantum magnetometers. That sounds very interesting. Sensors sensitive enough to detect the finest magnetic fields from neurons. The device translates brain activity into real-time visual maps, all without invasive surgery. Unlike bulky MRIs, this helmet works while a person moves freely, allowing doctors to monitor conditions like epilepsy, Alzheimer's, and brain injuries in a natural environment instead of confining patients to hospital beds. Early trials were astonishing. The scanner has mapped language, motor planning, and even dream states. Researchers envision a future of mind control and new communication systems for other folks with other medical issues. So what's astonishing to me, folks, as fast as AI is communicating, and let's just think about this for a minute. Is there anybody out there in the visual disturbance world that have weird dreams? Anybody? Anybody out there with weird dreams that are very vivid and they can remember every minute from A to Z? You can register, you can understand it, you can articulate, you can tell somebody, you can write on a piece of paper, you can even write it down on paper all day long, right after your dream. So what's going on? So we know voice to skull tech and all these different things, and they can even supposedly claim that they can whisper into your mind, into your ears, that the voice of God is talking to you, okay? Well, what if the holler down in the holler, but hieroglyphics, petroglyphs, and everything, like they talked about in the Midnight Ride Conspiracy Con, what if there's some direct connection with AI, leaving little Easter eggs like they do in the video games, right? What if there's something so astounding to this that we are living in something like a altered reality? But I'm not saying it in that manner. I'm saying that the fallen have came here to manipulate our reality. And I would say that the fallen angels that took that oath in Mount Hermon, they have never really, let's just say they haven't stopped. They stopped, dropped, set them up and down shop. I think that's how you say it. Whoa. I think it was an old rapper song, but I might have butchered it just then. But anyways, they setting up shop and they done all these nefarious things through our reality. So, is it possible that there's nothing new about this? It's a reincursion. We're in the devil's playground, and we are in a spiritual battle. I can't emphasize that enough. Can't emphasize it enough. So with all these mechanisms, right? You got Project Stargate. You got all these different applications that are coming down, and they put so much emphasis on your magnetic field. They're putting so much emphasis on your perception, your frequency, your hearing, and guess what? Your senses, right? And if it's down to the nano micro level, what is going on really? And if you have these mechanisms where they can shoot a supposedly invisible ray and make you say, I am whoever, I am the ultimate one. And then you go outside and you see the hovering craft, 3-eye atlas with the 10 million humans in it, right? So, with that being said, how much more rhetoric and Twilight Zone nonsense can we say about this nonsense? It's insane. So, the vivid dreams, connectivity to your anatomy, your biosphere, your magnetic field, and you understand the biometrics, and you understand what God has put in place for us. And we can't be in dismay. We can't be deceived. But guess what? When you have the little rabbit ears and all the different things with the mirror, right? The cauldron that has a little fire in it with the rabbit ears that was prescribed to every home, and everybody had a little fun being televised and communicated with in a way to distort the historical family tree. Let's say that. It's time for some kombucha. So that with that being said, what is really going on? And I want to throw this in here. I really want to just throw this in here. This is a couple of my thoughts. Let me get my thoughts out here. Okay. So what if there's nothing new? Okay. And those of y'all that have followed me for a long period of time, okay, I've always said this. There's nothing new under the sun. When you go and you see a horse and buggy, but then you see the documents when the horse and buggy man was out there like Little House on the Prairie, and tilling the ground like my great-grandfather was, and all of a sudden he doesn't even know what's going on above him, and there's just craft going by, flipping and flopping, and then nobody even knows what that terminology is back then. All he knows is to till that ground because that's what he was deemed to do, and that was his duty, to put food and raiment and put food on the table and be tillers of the earth, tillers of the land, right? That's what the biblical narrative says. But all this time, the Vimanas, the Ephas were floating around, doing all kinds of weird stuff. You can go out through antiquity and through different civilizations, and they're blatantly telling you. The Hindus said it, everybody. There was some type of black ops project, paint that signature on the sides. They always, it's just crazy, okay? So we have an offset, off-world, whatever you want to call it, off breakaway civilization, where they have been manipulating the minds of humans. And then supposedly the 10 million humans are going to come up and pop out and say, we've survived the cataclysms, we've been monitoring you, and we are here to save you. Right? How crazy is it? How crazy. But this is how crazy it is. Speaking of biblical narratives, and a lot of people frown upon that, when I show this here on this channel, people seem to get like a thorn stuck in their side. And then they'll have the audacity to say, Brian, are you crazy, bro? I'm going to pray for you, because I was literally ranting about the rhetoric of folks. I'm trying to wake people up to know understanding that there's an understanding of disconnection when you listen to people with a high stature so-called status. They will deceive you all the way into they'll put you on the pod on the ship, the little probes. Y'all remember that from yesterday's broadcast. Hello, there's survival. We will make you live for 1,000 years. There's no telling what's coming down the pike. Okay. But speaking of something I really do enjoy, this scripture right here, Ecclesiastes 1:9. So let's just think about this and really kind of, not really decode it. Let's just focus on what it says. The thing that have been, it is that which shall be. And that which is done is that which shall be done. And there is no new thing under the sun. Well, when I go back in my little bit of what's left in my brain pattern and what's left of what's rattling in there in the gearbox, when I see this, folks, I think about the demonic stuff. I think about the spiritual stuff. I think about the physical stuff. I think about the humans. I think about the land dwellers, the aqua life, the whole ball of wax. Water, elements, lithium, whatever you want to call it, gold, silver, whatever, phosphorus. We can go down the table and talk about chemical compounds or what have you. When I think about this right here, there is no new thing under the sun. Well, guess what? When they're finding nanotech that is like 4,000 years old, and they're like, man, I tell you what, this matches our nanotech that the military has. It's verbatim. It's so similar. The comparisons are uncanny. That's where my discernment and my rabbit ears, my invisible, discernment meter goes off the chain, and I think, insane in the membrane, and I'm not going to be deceived. I can't be deceived by this rhetoric, and let's just go to the source. Say if you have a let's just say ooze that is black, there's certain words you can't say. Got to respect the YouTube here. I love YouTube. Got to respect the YouTube policies here, folks. When there's something submerging out of the cracks and crevices of civilizations from the past, and they say it's the gateway to the gods or the blood of the gods, and everybody's tipping it back like it's a tavern on a Saturday night, you know what I'm saying? There ain't nothing wrong with the radio, the jukebox. And there's, Bubba shot the jukebox, old country song. But seriously, they're sitting there drinking this stuff, and they're saying that it's going to give them some type of superpowers, okay? So with all that being said, and you look at what we see, we have a black mirror. We have interaction with the black mirror. Our fingerprints, our biometrics, it even has the fingerprints on it, folks. Listen, it's a tool, right? It's a tool. You can do good with it. You can do evil with it, okay? You can do good and evil, okay? You can stick your fingerprint on there, and you can unlock all that black mirror that gives you, right? With your biometrics. Well, has anybody ever thought about it? When back in the day, maybe I'm just crazy. I got to watch what I say. When they give you a pink cup, we did shows on this. When you're a kiddo, there's like a pink cup, and they don't explain to you why there's a pink cup, and they don't understand. They just say it just tastes kind of like strawberry and it makes you think of something off the Ghostbusters movie. Just drink it, and it makes you kind of sick. Let's just say there's some weird, evil things involved in that. And to wake up society and get into that level, right? We talked about this last night, that there's certain folks, and we're going to be talking about it tomorrow night too. There's certain folks that emanate and create more DMT in their brain. And the same thing with the land, with the plant life, animal life, what have you. And it's interesting, these things and these applications, these principles, where they associate it with different, let's just say, applications that go on in the past. MK, you know what, and all these different things, Stargate project, all that. And you look into telekinesis and telepathic means and what have you. Right hemisphere, left hemisphere, hemisync, all these different applications, your peripheral, what you perceive, how you react to your perception, what you see, what you hear, how you adapt to your reality from what you hear. So, the slide here, is there nothing new in the sun? Well, we are being cold. We are being cultivated and tuned to something that is not something that we want to be partaking in. But how do we combat it? I've mentioned many times here on the program, put you a blue tarp on, and I'll be like this, pew, 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 dodging the blue ray. Got a little spray, make it go cray, but you have this laser mechanism. Y'all know what I'm talking about. And, blue roofs, blue everything. What are you supposed to do? Well, the Bible says, put the full armor of God on. Be valiant, not be fearful. Don't be fear about what man can do to the body. Fear the one that can destroy the soul and the body, right? Kind of get an amen on that, right? So if there's nothing new in the sun, and you're dealing with forces that are of a spiritual application that are on a 4D realm, a 4D, dimension, the interdimensional beings, but that 3-1, that 3-eye, I always say 3-1, I do it for fun, but the 3-eye atlas, it's taking a daggone time. I mean, it's like 139,000 miles an hour or something. That's what they're persuading it to be, or their calculations. Dang, it's taking forever. But you can take interdimensional beings and they pop up like Monsters Inc. They popping up in the closet. Fee fi fo fum, I smell you, son. You know what I mean? I mean, come on. Let's get our temples, let's get our minds set here that our reality is not what it seems. And we're being gaslit so much that we can't even see through the foggy glass. Okay? So we're marveling after things that we will be wanting to persuade ourselves into buying these mechanisms, quantifying, but all the whole entire time as living and breathing as a human on this earth, you've had the skills, you had the abilities and everything. And I've said this and I'll say it tomorrow too. When you look at this, these things that are coming upon the earth that makes man's hearts fail them, when men's hearts fail them, it's because they are literally looking for knowledge, but they can't handle what they see in front of them. Their perception it's just so much of a trauma. If you've seen a Bigfoot or some creature grab and trying to run down the street and chase you, I've seen people the other day when I was down with John and them down south. There was a man freaking out because there was a bee. Okay, a bee. Panic mode over a bee. So guess what? When you have a 10-footer coming out, I am here to destroy you and put you in a pod. Well, guess what? I need my quantum brain scanner. Well, I'm not going to say it, but y'all know probably there is a company that I kind of referred to earlier that is kind of playing in that field right now. So it's interesting. And I want to know why too, that these machines are wanting to collect your data, like on the level of dream state, your REM sleep, right? Why do they want to collect the data and quantify it? Because what are they searching for? That's the question. Really, what are they trying to do? What are they trying to do? What are they trying to really hack into? Not only have they done every single facet of what they could probably pull off and down the rabbit hole as far as the toilet, they're going and pulling every shot. They're pulling it all out, every angle. And they're pulling all the shots out now. I mean, literally, in every direction to navigate to something. So if I have to record my dreams and go on a big tangent and say, what did my brain scanner tell me last night? Let me take the time to look through 8 hours, 6 hours worth of data, and I want to be enlightened today. Think about it, folks. It's being used. It's not for your consumption. You're the user. Think about that. And guess what? The product. Okay? I got to watch what I say here. So, user, we can go on the rabbit trail and go down these mechanisms with Tron and different movies and different sci-fi flicks, what have you. And just like we talked about on FOJC, and we showed the new trailer for Tron, the Tron trailer was so stunning. It was fascinating to me because literally they say in the Tron movie trailer said, we're not going there. They're coming here. And then hence I go back to the sons of God made with the daughters of men. And then I go back to Mount Hermon where the 200 Watchers swore an oath and started manipulating and changing and telling men how to either do metallurgy and how to tell women how to put makeup on and all these different things, right? Defilement and different things. And it makes you wonder if it's an ancient Stargate and these things are coming back through a different way now, through a different means. We have the Nephilim, we have the Gilbarim, we have the embodied spirits, when you talk about the Book of Enoch, where they died because of the flood of Noah, and we are living in Noah 2.0 realm now. And if somebody can get with me and comment below and let me know if this all sounds crazy, and just like the individual was saying to me this morning, Brian, I think you lost your mind. I think I need to pray for you. I think you went crazy. Well, just think tomorrow when they do the congressional hearing and Mrs. Luna is well versed in the Book of Enoch. So when she goes on the stage and brings up the material that's in the book of Enoch and then relates it to biblical narrative, but you can tie it back to Egypt, you can tie it back to the Mayans, the Aztecians, you can tie it back to any kind of culture you want to throw it back into. But the book of Enoch and the biblical narrative validate everything that's happened since the beginning. So not only do we have an iron dome and all these different things and mechanisms that are coming down on us, supposedly, right? And a lot of people here that are in the visual disturbance realm, we talk about heliocentric, we talk about biblical cosmology, we talk a lot about it on FOJC. But when they're saying there's a metal dome, some type of grid-like system that is above our Earth, that is monitoring and evaluating what's going on, and before rockets and Sputnik could even do anything with it, it was there. And then the astronomer that is all over the online right now, she's talking about it, what her research and her team has found. So what is it? My opinion is they're hiding for what God truly put in place. And guess what? Just like the fallen angels did in Mount Hermon, manipulation, teaching man all these different things. Guess what? It wasn't enough. We had to throw up an artificial mechanism to train and manipulate the people that are on the earth. And I guess maybe that 3-1, I'm joking, 3-eye atlas is the 10 million fallen angels. I'm joking. But seriously, folks, how much more rhetoric can you go down? How much more? How much more? So the question is that we all should ask one more time. What if? What if? And what if it's been going on a lot longer in the past than we know it? The mysteries of the world, folks. The mysteries of the world, I would say. Is there nothing new under the sun? Is these nanotech particles and everything and all this stuff, is it just a reincursion? Just like some type of loop? And we're sitting here in 2025 putting our discernment meters on, and we're sitting here serving the king, right? And we can't let our minds be troubled. We can't be altered by our state of consciousness into a realm where we think these things don't work with what we've been taught. Right? I'm not talking about the good stuff. I'm talking about the stuff that we've been taught that has been kind of changed our paradigm and how we live and navigate around here. But when you look at biblical understanding in the spiritual realm, Ephesians 6 verse 12, the principalities, wickedness, powers, dominions, all these different things, you look at these applications, you see these things, and you really start to resonate. You really start to think about the book of Job. You really start to think about Noah. You start to think about Moses. And I guess what? If Moses and his daddy back in the day could time travel, just say hypothetical, forgive me, I'm not trying to blaspheme here, but if they was alive here to this day, and they was talking about the viperous reptilian-like reptilians that was debating over Amram, Moses' daddy, I guess get this brain scanner, quantify his brain so we can test and make sure we get everything validated. We got to make sure we get it all channeled there real good and tuned in to the frequency so we can tell who the individuals are that are trying to manipulate Amram's body or the gene pool or the historical line. We are literally dealing with demons, folks. We are dealing with demons. It's crazy. It is pure crazy. We're propping them up and we're marveling after them, and we cannot, like I always say on here, and I've been saying it a lot here every time I go live, humanity's on a chopping block. And we got to get our heads right, because the things that are coming upon the earth will make men's head fall off, seriously, and have a heart attack. And we're literally being jaded right now. We're being shaken like a drunkard. The earth's being going tossed to and fro, and I'm joking, kind of. But in a literal and a figurative sense, it kind of goes both ways, because there's a lot of earthquakes. But we are being tossed to and fro. We don't know which way to do, which angle to go at. So like I said earlier, Ephesians 5 talks about the armor of God. We got to get back to the principles, got to get back to the very simplistic of the biblical narrative and understand that we are a, spiritual being, but yes, God formed our souls and breathed into our nostrils just like he did in Adam. And here we are with a living soul, and I'm on this channel, this platform, articulating everything that my temple and my tongue and what's left in my brain and my teeth in my vision that I can tell to you guys. And that's what it's all about. We have to come back together as a society. Humanity has to come back to understanding that we have been lied to about so many different things. And that question, like I said, I've asked it 2 or 3 times during this program. What if there's nothing new? And what if our generation right now is understanding it? We're able to see it, and we're seeing through the delusion, and we can articulate and come to the realization that we need to wake up and not be in dismay and not be bamboozled into falling into these traps. So, like I said, what if all this stuff is true? What if there's nothing new and we are in our reality right now in 2025? And these mysteries of this world, and God is literally just shining the light and giving it to us in abundance of gifts. There's many people out there with all kinds of gifts. But what if the things that come upon the earth will make men's hearts will fail them? And these things with these mechanisms, with talking to machines with the mind, what if it's already been done? What if it's already, and there's nothing new, and this has been going on for a millennium, and maybe going back thousands and thousands upon thousands of years, and collecting literally data of all of our ancestors, and here we are. Just think about that for a minute, and think about how long AI has been around. What if? That's the question. So I'm going to take a few questions here. I don't want to conclude the broadcast, but that is the rest of the material. But I am going to give some shout outs to some folks in here. And I hope you guys enjoyed the broadcast here in the Daily What Ifs program here live. I really am thankful for you guys being here. A little bit toned down tonight. Last night, I was wound up like a vice script. I thought I was going to blow out of the chair because I was on fire because of the rhetoric I was hearing. But yeah, welcome to the channel, Visual Disturbance. Are you visually disturbed? Maybe. Is your hearing disturbed? I think somebody made a comment about my intro. I'm going to have to tone that down a little bit, the static. But yeah, I'm going to take a few questions here. Give a big shout out to you guys. Hit the like button, share this thing out, subscribe. I really appreciate it here at the Visual Disturbance world. Thank you all for attending with me. And subscribe to all in the description box. Subscribe to everything. Thank y'all so much for being here, like always. But hit up all the descriptions, the Instagram, Facebook, X, and all that. And I'm going to take a few questions here. I want a big shout out to Brian Norman. How you doing, my friend? I hope you're doing well in the Florida state. My memory serves me good, my friend. I got a pretty good memory. Brian Norman, I'm pretty sure pretty sure that you're in Florida. So I hope I didn't say too much there. But yeah, God bless you, my friend. Leonard Allen, good seeing you. Barbara, how you doing? Let's see here. Sir Ray is in the house. Student of Scriptures. I've seen you before, I think. Bless you and thank you for being here. Curious Squirrel. Have you seen the footage of the plane disappearing orbs? What if? That is correct, Curious Squirrel. I have looked at that. I have monitored it. I have evaluated it. And I can come to this conclusion that we are looking at a technological phenomenon, right? And you have those 3 orbs. And I think it goes back to some of these companies, and they're doing test runs on, if you could look at that Malaysia 370, some of those people had high clearance. Let's just say that. That's all I'm going to say. There's some folks there that, let's just say they have a ton of data behind them. Their resume is stacked. So, think about the TV series Lost, and think about the TV series Manifest. And then you just collaborate that all together, and you get you one big orb. And we did a broadcast on that not too long ago, talking about that it looked like the flux capacitor, and I laughed because it made a Y and it starts to spin, and the bottoms of the orbs they start to get hot because you have the friction from the I guess the flux capacitor, or you have the speed of it starts to really they map out the plane and do like a rendering, and then all of a sudden it starts speeding up in a Y formation, and then all of a sudden, poof, there it goes. Well, I can assure you that I've heard, no joke, I've been hearing speculation. Am I buffering? Of course I'm buffering. I'm not buffering. Hello out there. But speaking of the orbs, they're taking me out. The buffering's here. But when you think about that, and the speed of how it just and you see a wormhole or supposedly a black hole. I've been hearing that there has been more orbs around planes here lately. No joke. So what's that? What's that? So whatever's going on in the airwaves, and I just seen something today. Some airport, they're getting hazmat suits out. That's been happening all the time. So what's going on? Are we on a TV show, The Fringe? Because that is another rabbit hole. That show has been like predictive programming on every stance of what our reality is since 2000. The TV show Fringe. So it's interesting when you think about the airports, things falling out of the sky, all these different mechanisms. They're claiming this is that. There's septic tanks falling off. I mean, no joke. I bring that up a lot, and a lot of people take me as like, man, I wish he'd just shut up with his blabbering. But no joke, we was talking about this like a year ago, or less than a year ago. They was talking about some of the malfunctioning of these planes, and while they was crashing, it was because the septic tank backed up. And I was like, they had to release the septic tank so the plane wouldn't crash. I've heard so much junk. I mean, how in the world, right? So then raise terraforming in our atmosphere. You have to think about this for a minute. When you have this grid-like thing that they're supposedly found, just think about crafts that are emanating, supposedly like 3 Atlas. They're emanating a frequency. So if there's probes coming out at the exact location of Hallows Eve, and they're going to be popping and cracking and going around everywhere. I've even heard that they're going to look at orbs. So guess what? We got orbs now. We got Dyson spheres last year. No joke. What other are we going to call them next? For real. Atlantean Tech was like a year and a half ago, and then they decided to call them Dyson spheres. And then they're talking about all this other different atmosphere disruptions. I mean, how much more can you relate to a name? Okay. Might as well call it go-kart orbs, or just come up with some silly name. Okay. It's pitiful. It really is pitiful. I'm just going to say that. Whoever the folks are that comes up with these names, they need to be a little bit more impactful. I want to hear something like, it's the, like Star, the Star Trooper orb, with the serial number of Turbo X, I want it more impactful. Get me all static, but it just doesn't happen. Always lets me down. Gwen, good seeing you. 2 Lamps last hour. How the heck are you? I seen you yesterday. I see you in all my broadcasts. TX Hoss, good seeing you. Bob, James, good seeing you, James. I seen you yesterday, I believe. The Doctor. How was the food at Conspiracy? It was good, the Doctor. It was good. Let's see who else we got here on the list before RWG. Good to see you. It's a blessing that you're here. And Rebecca, way up there. I had to scroll back up. Bill O'Connell, good seeing you, my friend. It's been a minute. And Golden Peacock, in the Westworld, they had Roman and medieval world as well as Westworld. Well, speaking of Westworld, that's a whole nother topic when it comes to AI mechanisms. All right, Wilford. All these folks. Tim, I forgot to give you a shout out. You was there at the beginning. And I think there was DG, if I'm not mistaken. I seen him a minute ago. Betty. And I hope there was no buffering during this broadcast. But we're talking about controversial stuff here. And maybe it's because I didn't have my quantified helmet on to test and project my dreams to everybody across the airwaves. And I think that it's so interesting whenever there's a YouTuber out there that I really want to have on. I'm going to give a shout out to somebody. I really want to have him on here. We might not to believe in everything. We come from different walks of life. That's fine. But I always love when he comes on, buckle up, Buttercup, and that's okay. Everybody's different. Everybody has a different walk, So Rex Project, big shout out to you, man. If you can have you on the Visual Disturbance channel, open invitation, because I just posted a thing on community post for interviews, inquiring about that. Hit me up on the Visual Disturbance 15 at gmail.com, And anybody out there, if you want to get interviewed here on the Visual Disturbance channel and you want to be interviewed by this guy, Visually Disturbing, and I'd be glad to have you here on the Visual Disturbance channel. So if you get an opportunity to come on, inquire about that, check it out in the email, and get up with me, that'd be great. Rex Project. I'm giving you a shout out, man. Giving you a shout out. Buckle up, Buttercup. And he's all like, nah. The dude's hilarious. So, but anyways, folks, I think I'm going to jump off here. I just want to thank you all for being with me tonight and attending with me. But like I said before, hit up all the description in the description box. Hit me up on my P.O. box. Love to hear from you guys. I really am blessed abundantly from you guys. You guys are awesome. And just want to thank you. I can't put enough emphasis on that. I love you guys so very much. And thank you for being part of the Visual Disturbance community. And, you know, I guess we just need to end this out like this. You know, Brother David always says high five and good night, everybody. I haven't never come up with anything. I'm always like, get her done, or I'll talk like real silly, or make something just so off the cuff that I can't even really find out. And I've not been able to do that in a long time. Back in the day, if you're just now tuning in and really just subscribing to the channel, a couple years ago, I was live, no joke, folks. And somebody in the chat got me going, and I don't know what it was something about the milkman. And I said, broken down milkman, headed that way. If I see a mound of dirt, I'll stop and say, hey. I rolled because guess what? I did not rehearse it. I didn't say anything. And I just started doing all these different lyrics. I worked hard on that round. Come to find out the milk was crap. Worked all week and now I can't see. The crooked old devil's after me. And then speaking of spray, make it go cray, and cray, make it go spray, and all that reversing. I made a song about that too. So, but anyways, there's my little fun for the end of this this program here, this broadcast. Thank you all so much for attending with me tonight. But please, tomorrow night, do not forget, because it's going to be a special Guest Tuesday. And we're going to have Tyler Gilriff breaking the code of UFO disclosure. I'm looking forward to that roundtable discussion on Visual Disturbance. 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Be back here around the same time frame. Here we are. We get this 7 p.m. Eastern Time locked in. But yeah, the young man has a lot to speak about with this phenomenon. And you do not want to miss it. You do not want to miss it. So Tyler will be with me tomorrow night, 7 p.m. And hopefully, if it's intriguing, tomorrow I might jump on the bandwagon with everybody else out there and do the congressional hearing on there live stream. Maybe, maybe not. But what if all this is going downhill, and what if we're in NOAA 2.0? But that's it on the daily what ifs. So what if? What if we've been communicating with machines, with our minds for a long period of time, and we're just now catching up? But anyways, folks, thank you all so much for being here. Keep it fresh, keep it real. Stay away from the golden, you know what? I seen somebody in the chat talking about that. Be blessed, subscribe, share this thing out. Thank you. Welcome to the Visual Disturbance community. God bless you guys. See you on the next one. Visual Disturbance, I'm out. Welcome to the Daily What Ifs.